Hello, welcome to my channel, Trish Stitched. Today I'm sharing my process of sewing zip pouches made from upcycled fabric swatches for my fall and holiday markets. When fabrics become discontinued, interior designers are left with books filled with these beautiful fabric swatches. I take those books, with the help of some family friends or through secondhand sources, and turn them into bags and accessories. I have a pretty large collection of discontinued fabric swatches that I've been able to save from landfill. Some of the most common questions I get asked are, what do you do with them and how do you remove the paper backing? So this video is sharing one of my favorite items to make, small zip pouches, and my process for prepping these swatches to sew. If you are interested in upcycling with fabric swatches or are just curious about making a zip pouch, I hope you enjoyed this video. Almost all swatches include paper on the back with designer and fabric information. These are typically glued on, and there are several methods of paper removal that I've learned over the years. The first method is just to peel the paper off the swatch. Sometimes this can work with one easy pull, and sometimes it requires a bit more effort. I love the peeling process because it doesn't involve using other tools, and it's something I can do while relaxing and sitting on the couch. However, most swatches that I come across will need extra help to remove the paper. The second method is to use a warm iron on the right side of the fabric. The heat helps to loosen the glue on the paper, and you can peel the paper off a bit easier. If using this method, be very careful of the heat level of your iron on your fabric, and be mindful not to burn your fingers. I try to iron, wait a few seconds, then start peeling. This striped swatch did not want to be peeled, so to the iron we went. I like to work in sections when using the ironing method to avoid using too much heat. And here's my first set of swatches, paper cleaned, ready for zipper matching and the cutting step. And here's another set of swatches. You can see on this striped swatch, there are holes at the top of the fabric from being stapled in the swatch book. I don't always remove the paper from this section as I avoid the hold fabric when cutting out my bags, so I get as close to it as possible but have no problem leaving paper where I know I won't cut. This set I've already tried peeling and ironing, but the paper won't budge, so on to the third paper removal. This method is soaking the fabric swatch in water and peeling the paper off. I use a piece of glass bakeware, now my designated soaking vessel, and about an inch of water. I also use the spatula that came with my Cricut machine to help remove the paper. Soak the fabric with paper for about a minute, then scrape the paper off. I try to remove the paper from the water as I go so the water stays clear. After I finish scraping, I squeeze out any excess water and lay the swatch flat to dry. While this method takes a lot more time and energy, it has helped me save so many more swatches. I used to use my fingers to scrape off the paper, but one day I pulled out this small spatula and it's been a wonderful tool. Here's a close-up of the scraping process. You can see sometimes the paper comes up, but the glue may stay. If this is happening, I try to re-scrape out of the water. Sewing with the glue can dull your needle, so I try to remove as much as possible. And here are all my fabric swatches drying. The final step in this method is to iron and remove any bits of leftover paper from the soaking step. This paper is just typically floating in the water and can get on the front or the back of the swatch. I use a lint remover with different heads depending on the fabric I'm working with, but it can easily be picked off as well. And here's my clean pile of swatches ready to be cut and sewn. This is not a full zip pouch tutorial, just my personal process for bulk sewing. If you are interested in a more in-depth, slower tutorial, let me know in the comments below. First, I measure my fabrics and cut out each piece. My zip pouches are cut at 9 inches by 8 inches, which can fit a variety of the swatches in my collection. I use 2 coordinating fabric swatches in each pouch. This means I can use smaller swatches and more of them, and it's a fun surprise for customers at markets to see what's on the back. I keep the extra fabric to make zipper tabs. Here's some of the pouch front and backs. I have a lot of fun going through my collection to find coordinating fabrics. These pouches are also the perfect opportunity to use some embroidered or larger prints because they are meant to showcase the fabrics in a simple bag design. And at the end of the video, you can see some of the embroidered pouches in this collection. After cutting each swatch, it's time to interface. I use a lightweight, fusible interfacing on each piece to give the swatch more structure. I also cut, interface, and add a label to the lining as well. My linings are made from Kona cotton. Next up is prepping the zipper tabs and the zippers. I like sewing these in an assembly line so I can quickly stitch them all after pinning them. I've been sewing on my Janome for years and it's been such an incredible machine. All my tools will be in the description below. The next step is sewing the bag together. I line up centers of one piece of lining, the zipper, and one piece of exterior and stitch them together. I turn the pieces right side out and top stitch along the zipper. Next is repeating that process with the other side of the pouch. After the zippers are sewn, it's time to sew the sides. Making sure the zipper is open, I stitch the bags with right sides together, leaving a few inch gap at the bottom of the lining. My pouches have 1-inch flat bottoms, so what I like to do is measure out the 1-inch squares before sewing the pouch so I can reinforce every stitch line where I know I'm going to cut. This helps for the next steps of creating the bag bottoms. After stitching, the squares are cut out and the bottom corners get pinned and stitched. Next, I turn each pouch right sides out and stitch the lining closed. And here's the full collection. Several of these sold at my fall market, but some are still available on Etsy, link in the description below. If you're interested in sewing with fabric swatches, I also have a second Etsy shop selling some of my fabric swatch collection, also in the description below. I truly love saving these beautiful fabrics from landfill, and being able to turn them into usable, fun bags allows me to combine my desire for upcycling with my passion for sewing. You can check out Etsy for some of my other bags, including patchwork pouches made with smaller fabric swatches, and tote bags featuring fabric swatch front pockets. I also create backpacks and crossbody bags made from secondhand and vintage fabrics. Thank you so much for watching. Happy sewing!